Yo,
Hey, how's it going?
good. How about you?
Good, good.
Good. Wait, where are you at right now? Are you in like a room, studio?
Yeah, just in my office at home.
I like it. There's a bunch of stuff around there. Like, what do you got? Like, you got like a little poster. You got like a little. What? Tell
I
me
got,
about the room. I want to know about the room.
it's just kind of my office. I got like a collection of like a bunch of like memorabilia and retro toys and shit, like some video game stuff and whatnot. Some
You're.
signed CDs.
Wait, you're a gamer?
A bit, yeah, not a ton, but I play a bit of like Nintendo and shit.
Okay. Okay. Are you like in like a video game thing right now? Like, are you I don't know. I'm bad at video games. I haven't played video games in a while, man. Like legit.
I
I'm
don't. I mostly play like just like the Nintendo first party games that are pretty much you can kind of pick it up and play it for 45 minutes and put it down after.
okay.
Nothing
Uh,
where I'm like playing like 4 hour sessions of
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, I was like, are you 4 hours or 8 hours or something of something right now? But
No,
no. Okay.
not
That's
really.
that's good. That's good. Cool. So how's it going, Jared? Like, what have you been up to lately?
Good. Yeah, I just put out the new album,
Hmm.
which has been a ton of work,
Yeah.
obviously, over the last like year, releasing singles and whatnot. And had a release show at the Handsome Daughter 2 weeks ago, week and a
Nice.
half ago.
Nice. How'd that go?
Good, really good. Yeah, we sold it out,
Oh,
which I was not expecting at all. So I
really?
was like, quite. I woke up that morning, someone was asking about ticket sales, and I went on to the website and it said sold out. I was like, wow, all right,
Oh,
crazy.
yeah. That's huge for you to be like, wow, I sold this out. Like, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
well, it
Yeah.
almost it's weird. Like it actually sort of made it me a bit more nervous than if it wasn't the sold out crowd for some reason.
Um, was it your first sold out show? I guess.
Uh, that I like in terms of that scale, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I played some smaller stuff, like a sold out crowd of like 20 people or something or whatever. But like for 130, 140, whatever it was.
Yeah. I forget what the daughter is. It's 160?
It's
I'm
something in that
it's
range from like 120 to 160. I'm not
yeah.
totally sure,
I,
but
I
somewhere in that range.
I'm so confused. Like I thought who was telling me about it? I thought it was like a 200 cap venue, but someone was telling me no, it's not a 200 cap.
I think they don't really worry too much about it. Like I feel like they kind of just like keep letting people in no
Yeah,
matter what.
right?
Because
It's just
they
like
got the whole
okay.
front section too, right? So
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Cool. So who are your main influences, Jared?
A lot of like 90s stuff.
Hmm.
Specifically this album is a lot of like early 2000s sort of like indie tronic, if you will, I guess is the term.
Yeah.
Stuff like Radiohead and Gorillaz, stuff like that, sort of Postal Service, kind of stuff that's sort of a bit more. I don't know how you describe. I guess indie tronic is really the way to describe it. Like a lot of electronic instruments as well as like real instruments.
Yeah, like industrial kind of. Well, not
And
industrial,
that's
but like
industrial, yeah,
yeah.
but just more like a lot of digital stuff.
Yeah. Like you want to venture out. I feel like that's a lot of people want to try and not necessarily like be the same, but just you want to mix it up a bit. That's the main thing. You want to stand out, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't try to make music that sounds like anything specific. Like, obviously, there's like influences into there, like you can hear in it, but it's not like I'm trying to be a certain sound or anything.
Hmm. Yeah, I get that. What made you want to get into music, Jared?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I guess I remember like years ago, sort of discovering the band Our Lady Peace, and
Mm.
I found like an acoustic recording of one of their songs that started with this like an acoustic guitar part that's like just a little riff. I was like, hey, I could play that. My dad had some guitars around the house, so I picked up a guitar and like figured out this riff. There's like 3 or 4 notes. I'm like, oh yeah, this is easy. And then next thing is like a chord with like 6 notes. I'm like, oh shit, how do I do this?
And then the rest is history at that
And the rest is
point.
history. Yeah, and then I was like, I'm gonna figure out how to play chords.
Was it hard getting like picking up the guitar and just like, what do I do?
uh, yeah,
Yeah.
not. I mean, somewhat. I guess. Like I said, my dad always had guitars around the house, so I kind of always sort of like when I was younger, sort of just like pick them up and kind of pretend to play them. Sort of, as kids do. You think you're playing it, but you're just making a ton of noise.
Mhm. Yeah, it was weird. After going into a guitar class for myself, I'm like, as a kid, I'm going like fake playing guitar on my right hand side, and then after guitar class, oh, it's actually supposed to be this side.
Right.
I'm like, what? My whole entire life is a lie. What? Why? But
I
yeah,
mean, you can always learn left-handed guitar. There's a possibility.
it's a possibility, but it's rare. You
Yeah.
could be one of a kind. But yeah, do you play any other instruments or just guitar only?
I mean, guitar is like the main one. I do like I can kind of play a bit of like piano keyboardy stuff and I can hold a beat on the drums. I can hold a bass line, you know, but not like I wouldn't call myself a bass player or a drummer by any stretch.
So if someone called you up and like, hey, Jared, can you play drums or bass for me this one day? You
It
can't?
was like one song, and it was a pretty straightforward song, maybe, maybe.
Maybe. Dang. Okay. So the next show I see you at, I'll be like, hey, get this guy on. We need to see him play on
Yeah,
this thing.
yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to the record last night, and there's honestly, you know Tyler Del Pino, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. There's some like sounds that sound like Tyler Del Pino. I'm like,
Oh, really?
whoa. Yeah. I'm
That's
like,
interesting.
what? Okay. Yeah. It's just like, wow. Okay. Ooh. Dope. Have you worked with Tyler before or no?
Um, I've never really worked with him, but I know him through like the music scene and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've never worked with him on any projects.
Okay. Sweet. Dope. Okay, that's cool. So, what else do you want to talk about the new record? Because you got it out, I guess, like a few weeks ago. How's it going for like people listening to it? How's the feedback going from it?
Pretty good so far. Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that they have certain songs that they'll put on repeat or whatever. Like
Mhm.
"Welcome to the Metaverse" apparently is one that people like, and it's catchy, and people like keep coming back to it. So, yeah, it's been a lot of good feedback from people and whatnot, and
Mhm.
it's been a yeah. I think we're almost at like 10,000 streams on the record on Spotify, so getting to that 5-digit mark.
Okay. Okay. That's huge. That's very huge for an independent artist because you want to see those numbers. That's the main
Yeah,
thing. You know the project's good and you want to see that, and I guess the fans are resonating with it, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, people like obviously are listening to it if it's got that many streams so far.
Yeah, right. That's the main thing. Are you working on like? How long did it take for the project to make? Well,
Um, so I guess I kind of started writing the songs in like 2020 during the pandemic, when there's like a lot more time to like sit around and write music.
yeah.
So yeah, some of the songs are like at this point like 4 years old or so. And then I put out another like my first record in 2020, which I was had a whole plan to do a big release, and obviously everything got shut down. That just didn't happen. And so then a couple years later, I was like, I'm gonna start doing this record, and I just went into the studio. I think was it in 2022 in the fall or whatever. We recorded most of it then. I did a lot of it at home, and then brought that into private ear, and we laid down like the drums and bass and stuff there.
How long are your typical studio sessions? Like, do you go for like hours and hours, or just do a couple hours at a time?
Yeah, I mean, at private ear, I think we did about 10-hour days or so,
Was it?
and book like 4 or 5 days in a row or whatever, and kind of just get as much done as we can in that time.
But did it take like? Were you burnt out? You think for like those 10-hour days or no?
I mean, I've been burnt out for the last like 3 years.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
no, not like specifically though. Like I really enjoy being in the studio. Like it's a lot of fun. It's almost one of
Mhm.
those things where it's like by the end of the day, it's like I could keep going, but everyone else is like, no, we gotta stop.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have those breaks in between. It's just like, yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't, then it's a lot. It's a lot. I got to work with who was it? Like recently, it was Kate's Outlaw. They're a band from Dolphin, and we've done
Okay.
like crazy hours, like eight, not eight. It was like 12-hour days, 10-hour days of like
Yeah. Yeah.
studio sessions. Just like, ooh, ooh, we need a break. We need a break.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, your vocals get like dry. Your hands are just dull at that point. It's just like pain.
Yeah, and I think, like, the difference for me is, like, a lot of it, um other than, like, the vocals, I was kind of actually just more sitting back and, like, watching what the drums and bass were playing their part.
Yeah.
So I was kind of more, like, producing, at that point we were in the studio. I wasn't actually playing as much as the other musicians were. So
Hmm.
it's kind of more interesting angle because I could kinda sit there and watch and evaluate what's going on as opposed to sort of, like, being the one recording and not really being able to, like, evaluate the performances while I'm recording as well, right? So it's
Yeah.
a different angle for sure.
Huh. Never thought about that. Cool. Cool. um, you told me you got a few local musicians on it, like Apollo Sons for the horns, Eric Ross from Yes We Mystic, and Christy. I'm terrible at pronouncing her
Front.
last. Yeah. Of Paper Machetes. What was it like working with all these
It was
local
great. They're
musicians?
all, like, so professional, especially, like I mean, all of them are, but the horn section was great because, like, the 3 of them come in together, and they've been working together for so long, and Aaron, the sax player, is, like, the semi-band leader from Apollo Sons, or, like, I guess when he was in the band still.
Yeah.
And, so he knew how to sort of, like, convey everything that I was thinking in my head. I could tell to him, and then he could tell the other horns, like, "Do this, do that," or whatever, and they figured it out, and it's just, like, it's awesome to see them come in and just sort of, like, lay down the parts that I'd, like, composed in MIDI, like a year earlier.
Holy, that would have been cool to see in studio. Just see a bunch of horn players and just in studio, like, whoa, this is cool. And
And they
seeing it
just
in
yeah,
person.
and because they've been playing together for so long, they just, like, they connect so well, like, they just kind of know what each other's gonna do, and it's just, like, they really can get into the pocket together, and it's great. It's
Right? It takes it all in. And what about Eric Ross? How is it like working with him?
also, like, an incredibly professional
Yeah.
violin player, like, again, he comes in, here's the part, he just plays it perfectly the first time. It's like, "Yeah, we'll do 2 or 3 more takes, just make sure we got it," but, I mean, you got it.
Right? There's a few. I think we did get a violin. There was someone that we hired out for that, and it's just like, oh yeah, just 1 or 2 takes. I'm like, yeah, we got it. I'm like, how? How do you do that? Like, I don't understand. How can they get it just like that?
And, I mean, that's just, like, being a professional musician, right? It's
I
kinda like
guess so.
if
Do you
you're
can
like a studio musician, right? If you're on like a hired guy, you gotta be able to come in and just do it in a few takes. You can't be like sitting there all day messing up and
come on, you
costing people time and money, right? I
listen. We I can
mean, I
so
can. It's my time and money, but
right. Hey, it's your time. It's your money. Why not go for it? Do you consider yourself as a professional musician, Jared?
I guess I kind of do now. I mean, maybe asked me a couple years ago, I might not have said that, but I mean, at this point, it's like I've put out 2 records and like I play shows usually once a month with various different bands. So I mean, I guess I would be a professional musician by that aspect of it.
Yeah, I would think so. How many bands are you with? I guess.
That's a good question. In terms of actual performing bands, I think it's like only about 3 right now that actually perform, and then there's a couple other people that we've kind of been jamming together and kind of working on some material and whatnot. So I think total of 5-ish, but only like yeah, it's hard to keep find
Yeah,
time for all the to learn all the songs.
right? Don't you probably get mixed up every so often from songs, right?
Not really. I mean, the one nice thing is some of the couple of the bands are sort of cover bands, so it's like there's a lot
Mm.
of overlap in terms of the songs we play in those 2 bands. So it's like, oh, I already learned this song for the other band, so I can just easily pick it up here and play it here.
That's good. So it's just like, hey, one day we'll do this cover, and the next day we'll do this other cover, and then we're good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, what's the bands that you're a part of, if you could say?
Yeah, sure. So there's like my solo project, obviously.
Yeah.
Color by Numbers, which we've been a band for like 10, 12 years now. I'm not even sure, a long time. We used to do a lot more originals. We do a lot of cover shows now, but we have some original stuff coming out soon. Another band that I'm in called It's All in the Mind. I joined them recently. Kind of it's sort of like a 60s sounding kind of band. Just like a fun time to play with a lot of original stuff there. So that's kind of what I like about playing original music. And then I'm joined another band. I don't know if you know Doug MacArthur.
I've heard of Doug McCarver. Yeah.
Yes, I've joined a band with him. We do a lot of cover stuff and some of his originals, and that's one of the bands that we haven't really done any shows yet. But we're just kind of getting it off the ground. And then a couple other projects of just random people that don't even have names yet. We've just been jamming together and
Okay.
figuring stuff out. So
Dang, how do you fit it all in,
I
man?
don't
Like,
know. I
you
don't.
don't? Like, do you
I
have
have
a
to. I sometimes have to like say like, hey guys, I can't do this jam this week because I got this other jam going on.
So are you like a full-time musician, or do you
I
have a
wish.
job on
No,
the
I have
side?
a day job.
Okay. Then how do you do it, man?
I don't know. I have no free time.
Yeah, I was wondering. I'm like, at this point, yeah, you have. I guess you don't go out or do much.
Well, I
It's
do.
just
I mean,
like,
that's the thing. I do go out a lot. It's part of like being a musician is you kind of have to go out into the scene and meet people, and make connections, right? You can't just like sit at home and expect people to like your music. You gotta go out there and like get known, right? So
yeah,
I try to go at least once or twice a week to a show or to an open mic or something to just like make connections.
good. That's at least keeps you open and gets you out and touch the outside world, and not going one place to a band practice, then the other, and then back to
Right.
work,
And then back
right?
home. Yeah.
You gotta get something out there. Like even myself, I don't go anywhere that much as it is now. I just go to a show, come back, work, vice versa. I'm
Right.
starting to finally get out and about now. It's just like it takes a lot. It does a lot. And it at least do you take time to rest at least after doing all this stuff, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
sometimes. You gotta work on yourself, Jerry.
To me, though, like the going out and jamming is the fun part. Like that is like it's not. I don't find that as work or anything. Like I really enjoy that. Like I'm the kind of guy who like if we're having a rehearsal or a jam, like I could go for 4 or 5 hours when everyone else gets tired, and I'm like, nah, I can keep playing music. Like to me, that is like the relaxing part. That is the getting away from the world part.
Who hurt you, Jared? Who hurt you?
Music.
Music.
Music made me
Oh,
what I am. Yeah.
oh
No, I'm
no.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay. If you could pick any song on the internet that you wish you got to make, Jared, what would it be?
Any song that I got to make.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I don't know. First one that comes to the top of my head is "Feel Good Inc." by Gorillaz. I love that song. That would have been like just that bass line is so cool, and then the breakdown with the acoustic guitar. I really really like that song. That would have been a cool one to. And I did kind of "Welcome to the Metaverse" is sort of my semi attempt to write a Gorillaz-y kind of song. So
I could see that. I love Gorillaz. I wish I'd gotten to see them live. Maybe one day.
maybe one day, yeah.
Maybe they'll come to Winnipeg, but who knows? Hey, maybe you'll open for them, Jared.
There we go. I should start messaging Damon Albarn and just be like, "Hey man,
Hey, man, come to
get
Winnipeg
get
and
me
then
on your show."
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any artist that you would love to open for?
Oh, I mean, yeah, Gorillaz would be cool.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of like those '90s bands, like it'd be cool to open for like someone like Smashing Pumpkins or Radiohead or Our Lady Peace or whatever. Like there's those bands that just I think my music kind of fits with what they're doing, and it'd be cool to open for them, and it'd be a similar fan base. I
Yeah.
would guess.
Have you seen Our Lady Peace before? Live or no?
Yeah, I actually went to their last show. They did here the Spiritual Machines 2 album release, and I literally bought front row center ticket at the Burt. It was like
Sick.
$250. But I
Oh.
was like, you know what? I've been a huge fan of them for such a long time, and I really love their music. And I was like, and this is like the crazy show with the hologram projection things that they
Yeah.
had going on. And so I was like, you know, what, I'm just gonna do it. And like that's the most I've ever spent on a concert ticket. So I'm like, whatever.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I've never seen have I seen no, I've not seen 250 at the Burt yet. So
It was somewhere in that range. I don't know.
okay.
Like it was over 200. I don't think maybe it wasn't 250, but it was pretty expensive. Yeah,
That is expensive. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jared.
it was
You
fun.
broke
I
the
really
bank.
enjoyed the show. It was worth every cent
Well,
to me.
that's amazing. I got to see them. What is it at Minnedosa a couple
Oh
years
yeah,
back?
nice.
That was honestly so good. I love seeing them in a whole entire festival setting, and they fit the festival crowd honestly a lot.
I don't think I've ever seen them at a festival. I have to check that out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
only ever seen them at like the Bird or the MTS Center.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of bands that are like, I feel like a lot more bands need to do more festivals here, but we need more festivals here
There just
in
isn't
Philly.
festivals of that size. Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's nothing there.
It's hard because we don't have like a big. I guess we kind of do, but maybe music scene would be good. I don't have a decent music scene here that would bring up the crowd. I would think, right?
If you did something at like the Forks or whatever, you could probably get a decent crowd.
Oh yeah, like a few years back, they did like a couple like rock stuff.
Oh, there
Stuff.
was like that. What was that? Yeah, there was those festivals a couple years ago. I can't remember what they're called, but like Wilco played and stuff or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So like, yeah, it's possible. It's
It's
doable.
cool. There was like I remember when I was getting into radio school, I was searching up like festivals and music stuff in the city, and we had a thing called Rock AM in the Park or something like that, and it was like older bands like 3 Days Grace, a lot of the older harder rock kind of stuff
Oh yeah.
that kind of stuff, Thousand Foot Crunch, a lot more Canadian stuff that was in. They played at the Forks though, which was kind of
Oh neat.
neat. So yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like early 2000s. That was a big thing. So I wish they brought it back, but I don't know. Maybe the money's tight.
I
See,
think that's it. That's
that's
probably it. Yeah.
no one.
Winnipeg's cheap.
Winnipeg is cheap. That's the thing about the province. It's just like, hey, we could have a great local thing here or a great touring thing here, but no, we're just cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not gonna happen. Yeah,
yeah, maybe one day.
yeah.
What's shows? You have any more shows in the plan?
Nothing currently. But I'm hoping some festivals this summer, like Fringe or whatever. I've usually always gotten into that one, so that's kind of my plan is some stuff in the summer, and then maybe try to do some acoustic stuff here and there.
Uh, uh, when is Fringe this year? I always
Early to mid July. I don't know the
okay.
exact
Okay.
dates, but sometime around then. Yeah,
We have a lot of stuff that's going on in July. Honestly, this year it's a lot. Like we
yeah.
have
There's a lot of those festivals in the downtown summer, and
yeah. Like there's I think the ballpark's finally doing stuff now. There's Fringe. There's what else is there? There's a couple of things. Oh, Red River X. You should check out Red River X. That's a
oh
thing
yeah,
too. So there's a lot of things happening. I feel like this in previous years.
yeah. I guess just sort of everything's kind of finally opened up again to the
Yeah,
point where everything can have like maximum capacity and whatnot. So
we don't miss those days of COVID.
no, not at all.
It's very much sucked. What was the first thing that you didn't know your first show, and now you're like, oh, this is a breeze now of doing this thing?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. I don't know. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Something I didn't know early on that I now know.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. I honestly I don't know what I didn't know early on.
So when did you first start going into the live shows then? That's the real thing then.
Yeah, so like the first like show I remember doing that was sort of not like we did some shows in high school because I had a high school band. We did some shows at like the Spirit Weeks and whatnot, and they're kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
But the first sort of real show at a real venue, we my band at the time, which was called I think the Pretty Chillin' Dudes was our name from our high school band.
I want to see the comeback for that one now.
We played a show at the Academy back when it was on Academy. We did like
Oh,
we did this thing where we did like an acoustic set, and then we like switched and did like an electric set afterwards. We had this whole sort of like production. It's kind of
fancy.
yeah, it was like our first like real show.
That's cool though. For a
Yeah,
first show, honestly, like you go acoustic and then electric. Ooh. You gotta bring that back, Jared. You gotta bring that
yeah,
back.
I should actually. That's not a bad idea. I should do that like a two set thing where one's acoustic, one's electric.
Yeah. Or just vice versa, electric and then ending
Then strip
acoustic.
it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could do that. But you don't have anything that you're like, yo, this is a breeze, like nothing.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess the one of the things that is like sort of like a breeze now compared to then was like, I've always like I used to struggle a lot with like singing, and
Yeah.
I spent many years on stage just like out of tune, singing horribly, awful. And it's within the last like 3 or 4 years I've actually really started to take it more seriously and been taking lessons and stuff. And now I find like my singing on stage is much better. And
That's good.
I guess one of the things that I didn't really know when I was younger was sort of getting a good monitor mix, and now it's like
Mhm.
I'm a stickler for like I need a good monitor mix. So it's like when we play some of these venues where it's like you're on a smaller stage or whatever, and it's kind of like you have to share a monitor. It's like it's really challenging. So it's like great, I've got like three vocals in this monitor. They're all the same level, and we're trying to sing harmonies, and I can't hear myself. All I can hear is the other vocals. So it's like that's maybe one of those things I didn't know when I was younger is like getting a good monitor mix. But now it's like hey,
Well, yeah, I
you
feel
need
like
that.
it depends on who's your front of house person or who is mixing too, because that helps a
For
lot
sure.
too.
And I
Because
mean, also just depends on the venue and how well
that
good
too.
of a sound system they actually have, if they even have monitors. Or if it's just like, yeah, try to hear yourself reflecting off the walls from the mains. Like, okay, cool. So
What
definitely
venues are that? I
played
want
some of those shows where there's like maybe one monitor or no monitors, and it's just sort of like, all right.
I want to see those venues again. Where are you going for that, man?
I don't remember where that was. I know I can't remember. I think it's more sometimes when we have a venue where it's more of like a pop-up venue and there is like a sound system. It's sort of
Yeah.
like like I think we played at the Forks one time when they used to have that night market thing at the Forks. And the sound system they had there one time was just like two mains, and I think it was one monitor just in the center of the stage for four people. And we're just like, and our drummer's like behind us. He's like, I'm not gonna be able to hear that. And he's like, I gotta sing songs. How am I gonna? It's like, well, you gotta hope you're singing in tune and in key and whatnot.
It's always those park shows. It's always like the little outdoor shows. It's just like we can't have monitors. We can't have anything. Just
So, sometimes it's just like the budget for that stuff, right? It's like if the music is sort of like a secondary attraction of the main event, it's sort of like, well, your budget's X amount. It's like get whatever you can with that.
yeah. At that point, you just got to bring your own kind of monitor. At that
Yeah,
point.
it's probably not a bad idea. Maybe we should start doing
Just
that.
package just in case, and if it works out, then it works out. But if it doesn't, you lose a monitor.
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe.
What's what was your first concert that you actually went to though, Jared?
First concert.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's one of the two, and I can't remember if it was either the Bare Naked Ladies or the Backstreet Boys. One of the
Dude, what?
two. When I was like 6 or 7 or something.
Oh dang, better than me. Mine was like a Disney Channel band, but like, yeah, a lot better than me. But my actual like MTS Center concert back then was like Bruno Mars though. But
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a good one.
but they're like, dude, you got it good. Jeez, how was it? Where was it? Do you remember?
It would have been at the old barn, like the old arena. Yeah.
That was before
It
my
would have been it
time.
would have been like 97, 98, probably somewhere in that range. So it would have been like peak Bare Naked Ladies time.
Dang, man. Gee. You're independent, of course.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, of course. But if a label came up to you, Jared, and it's just like, we love your recent project that you dropped. You want it like a 5 album, 3 album deal right now and then.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's willing to fund it, I would take the money.
That's what I was wondering. Like, would you sign to a label tomorrow
It
if someone
depends.
did?
I mean, it
Yeah,
depends on obviously like the conditions of the label. Like I wouldn't want to sign away any rights to my music or whatever. But
yeah,
like if there was some, funding involved and they wanted to pay for me to make music, I would not say no to
that's
that.
good. Yeah, what would be like your main things that you don't want? Like, if your main red flags, I guess, from labels. Like,
I mean, I'd want to retain the rights to my music.
yeah,
And not necessarily that's a red flag. Like, obviously, a lot of labels do have that as part of their contracts and whatnot. But to me, that's sort of like I wouldn't want to. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the right amount of money though. Now that I think
okay,
about
what
it,
is your number if
if there's like
someone
a
gave you?
seven-figure price tag attached with it, I'd be like, $1 million or more, maybe.
In this economy right now, I would take it. Maybe 7.5 figures,
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever gotten for doing music so far?
um, I mean, the best piece of advice, I don't know where it came from, who it came from, but it's just like the idea of like to not really care what anyone thinks about your music, to make the music you want to make and not like let anyone else's opinion of it bug you. Like people are gonna hate what you make, people are gonna love what you make. It doesn't really matter. You just got to keep making what you want to make.
Yeah.
Don't
I,
don't try to play for your audience in that way, I guess.
yeah. You don't want to ever go. Well, you could, but also it just you'll get not you'll get burnt out of it if you continue doing the same old thing. Like everyone wants, oh, that your specific sound of just metaverse the whole entire time. Every
Right.
single thing that you make, it's just gonna be the same sound. Then you're gonna get burnt out. And then you're like, no. So
Yeah, totally. I think it's why you see like there's a lot of bands who do that where they'll have like 3 or 4 albums that sound the same and suddenly they do something different and all the fans are like, "Oh, what the heck?" And it's like, "Well, they've been doing that same sound for like 12 years now."
yeah,
Like,
right. You gotta change it up. If you don't,
yeah.
you gotta get with the times. Like I don't get why
I
people.
I mean, I respect artists that do that. It's like it's you can't just make the same album over and over again. I mean, I guess AC/DC can, but whatever, there's some exceptions.
Yeah, there's a few bands that can do it, but other than that,
Yeah,
not really. Maybe you could be one of those bands that
maybe.
could be the
We'll see. I
exception
mean,
here.
maybe. Yeah.
Maybe I could maybe see it. I could see it.
I think my music has enough, like, eclecticness to it that, like, there's enough variety that if I kept a similar sort of genre, I could probably stay happy with it for, like, decades.
Okay, cool, cool. Are you gonna be working on any like more music videos for the album? Or,
We'll see. I don't have any more music videos currently planned for the current album, but I mean, I'm not against putting something together. I just have to find the right, group to work with and make a video and yeah, could
any
easily happen.
any more new music in the works right now? Or is it-
Yeah, I have a few songs I've been working on, and I have a few, like, ideas for albums and stuff. I've always sort of had some ideas floating around. There's always, like I have scrapbooks and notebooks full of songs and stuff, so there's always stuff to pull from. But,
Yeah.
I'm not I have a whole bunch of ideas I wanna do. I don't know where to start, though. I don't know what's the best one to
Oh,
start with, right? It's
that's
like
you go through a rabbit spiral of like, hey, does this work? Does this not work? Yeah.
yeah,
Is
basically.
yeah. That's fair. What do you think of like this new age of musicians just dropping like singles like crazy, like right off the bat or just like pronto? What do you think about that?
I mean, it's interesting. I was talking to someone about this recently, how the idea of the album sort of came about in like the 70s and 80s and 90s. And then like now we're back to singles. Like in the 60s, you had singles. Like that was it. Like you look at all the early Rolling Stones, like all of their big songs were not on records. They were just like singles. Right. And then we're kind of back to that now where like the single is sort of the king of music right now. Um Personally, I'm a fan of albums. Like I like listening to albums front to back. And I like, if I was or when I do put out music, I like putting out albums. Um but I think my plan for the next sort of thing I'm gonna do is to try to start doing, like, a few singles and sort of, like, do a single and do all the promotion for it and do another one to do, like, kinda just one at a time. Because I found, like, with this last album, I had the whole album done, like, a year and a half ago, basically, or a year ago-ish. Um, and then it was like I was kind of being like, "Okay, I'm gonna release it in March of 2024, so now I have a year to put all this stuff out," and it's like, it's just chaotic because I was so far behind every time. It's like I'm trying to figure out what am I gonna post for social media and all this promotion and reaching out to radio and all this other stuff, and it's just it'd be easier to kinda just get everything in ready to go first. So I think that's my plan is, like, to do some singles. So I guess getting back to your question,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't mind the idea of singles. Um, I think it's a good idea. I think as a musician in this sort of modern era of social media and whatnot, you kind of have to sort of always be like putting out music. Like I've read a lot of stuff about how as a musician you should really be treating Spotify as just another social media platform, and so you kind of have to constantly be posting. which is, I mean, that costs money compared to just posting on Instagram. You can just like take a photo of yourself and be like, hey, how's it going, right? Like,
Well, yeah, and then you realize that Spotify only pays you maybe like 0.0000002
if they pay you,
if they pay you. I was just talking to someone last night about it, just like, hey, someone got a check in the mail for 2 cents from Spotify. It was hilarious. Just like,
crazy.
why? Why?
We can't even cash that.
It's just like, why? Especially for us Canadians, like, oh yeah, let's get a 2 cent thing in the mail. It's useless for us.
Yeah, I've gotten some revenue checks from like SoCan. They're like $1.50 or whatever from random plays on whatever radio station. It's like, okay, cool. I guess I'll go cash this $1.50 check. But then again, there's also ones like CBC when they play some of my songs, they pay like $20 per spin. So it's like that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, I guess that's right. Like, government funded, right? So they just kind of have a ton of money to give away for that shit.
Okay, so we gotta send more stuff
Get
to
on to
CBC.
Yeah.
Good to know. Fans, take note now. Send
Yeah.
to CBC.
Get it on CBC and make some money at least compared to Spotify.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, see you, Spotify. We're going to CBC now.
Yeah, gonna go back to listen to radio. That's it.
Okay, what do you think of like radio and social media and everything? Do you think it's like going away, or do you think it's, I feel like for us, especially here in Winnipeg, it's not gonna go away anytime soon.
I think like definitely in the music scene, like UMFM and CKOW are kind of like integral and like a good thing to have, and they're like a solid foundation for musicians. But I don't like I think like overall, I'm not sure how often people like, I don't know what people like listen to music on. Like, do people listen to radio anymore? Is that a thing, or is it like I never listen to radio. Like I don't. I I don't even use Spotify or any streaming service, to be honest. I'm still like in the early 2000s era where I like pay for and download all my music and put it on my phone and listen to it that way.
Gosh, we love it. I have a CD player in my car, so like I need to start. I have discs and discs, Jared, of music, and I need to start putting that into my Jeep, and I've yet to do that.
You need to get one of those like 12 CD changers or whatever for your car. You can like then put it on shuffle.
Yeah, I think it actually has like 8 I could put in, but either way,
really?
it's just like it's a lot. But also, I'm scared that it'll just get stuck in there, and then I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, damn. No, I listen to radio still because I work with radio. But either way, other than that, like a lot of people kind of do, and kind of, it's a weird state right now because of Octane and all this online stuff, Spotify. But I feel like, especially for us in Winnipeg, especially, we have a good local scene that I feel like that a lot of people still listen to, just because the mainly is the personality. Everyone wants to hear what.
Well, that's it, right? I think people listen to a lot of radio, not so much like the music's part of it, but I think it's a lot more listening to the people you want to hear talk on the radio, right?
Yeah.
Like the morning hosts and whatnot.
Yeah, I think so. Album and acoustic. Will you make like acoustic stuff in the future for this record? Or? No.
Huh, that's an interesting question. Like to do like an acoustic version of this record?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought.
Or even an EP, even like
I mean, I do have some ideas for other acoustic things I want to do, but like totally different music. But like now that you're talking about like doing this record acoustically, you've given me some ideas. Like maybe I should do like a whole acoustic version of the album. Because it's like compared to like my last album, Tragic Nostalgia, was written sort of like the songs were kind of written to be played acoustics. I kind of thought, hey, like I write a bunch of songs where I can like strip them down to just chords and vocals and do them that way if I need to. But this album, I didn't really do that. I kind of just let sort of the music guide the direction of where things are going to go. So I didn't really think about like how they would ever translate to acoustic. And I've tried to play some of them acoustic and then to varying degrees of success. But yeah, I wonder maybe I should do like an acoustic, or like even take like 5 or 6 of the songs off the album and do like an acoustic EP.
Or even deluxe. That's what a lot of people do.
There you go.
There you go. Release it, but just add deluxe and it's just acoustic stuff or something like that.
There we go. So there's a release for next year. Now I have some more Spotify stuff.
I'm helping you out here for Spotify. Let's go.
Which is a really cool idea. I hadn't thought about this. So like, yeah, I'll have to throw your name in the credit if I end up doing it.
I'm surprised you didn't. Like, that's one thing I advocate for bands or singer-songwriters. Like, work on more acoustic stuff.
It's a smart idea, yeah, because I mean, it's an easy way to create more music and put out different versions of songs that are interesting to people, and it's not as expensive as like getting a full band in a studio. Like you can go and record these songs. Like I can probably do it myself, to be totally honest.
Just
so,
do it in your home studio. Have like a little cajon. Have a guitar. Boom, you're good. And you have a mic. You're fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then send it to someone to mix it. Unless you know how to mix, you're fine.
A tiny bit.
Yeah, mix tiny bit. Then that's all you really need, right? That's
yeah.
Work on
Sweet.
acoustic stuff. That's what I
Thank
like
you.
about artists. Work on acoustic stuff. And I'm weird about acoustic stuff though too. Like I don't know about you, but for me, I'm OCD about acoustic songs. Are you?
In what way? What do you mean?
You might hate me, but love me. And this is an ongoing joke with so many people. I hate hearing breaths in acoustics.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
it's
I've never
strange.
thought about that. It's never really occurred to me to like hear a breath in an acoustic song.
Like you go in between of like a line or something, and you're like, and then yeah, like that's one song in particular that this will set you off now, and that's what I've done for a lot of people. Listen to Nickelback if I ever cared. I think it's the song.
Okay.
If everyone cared, that song acoustically, or that's not even acoustically. That song is acoustic, and
Oh yeah.
just in general, I hear Chad's breath every single time.
You're
I'm like,
a
nah,
fan
nah,
of it,
nah, nah.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, nah. I love it live, but like on Spotify or anything, I can't anymore. It's bad.
Interesting. I guess like one of those things. I guess when a song is so stripped down, you just hear every little bit of it. Like certain things just stand out in a way that
well,
like kind of can be.
well, that's the
Yeah.
thing about with I feel like a lot of people don't mix it well, right? Too, because you pump up the vocals so much, you EQ it not greatly. That's the only thing I realize with acoustic stuff. No one mixes it well. I feel like
Depends on like how it's recorded acoustically. Because for
that's
sure, it's if you're just recording it live, it's sometimes the acoustic version sounds sort of like almost too live. It's like it's kind of not great.
yeah, or teeny or something like that. Yeah,
Or that, or yeah, super like no low end.
yeah. Eh, it's a thought. It's a thought, but you don't have to listen to me. Don't advocate for the breaths or anything from me. I
Gonna
know
cut out
nothing.
every breath from now on just because of this one conversation.
Just from this conversation, no more breaths.
I mean, I don't mind breaths in music. I think it's fine. Like it's sort of part of the natural part of singing. But like if
Yeah.
it's I hear what you're saying though. If it's like sort of like the super obvious thing that just like stands out, it's like maybe you should dial it back a tiny bit. There's a balance, I think.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, you can still have breath, but just tone it down. Just put it like not so loud, but like
Yeah.
that's fine per se. Yeah, if you could talk to yourself from a year from now, Jared, what would you tell yourself?
What I tell myself a year from now.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing in a year from now. Be like, looks like you did good. I
Looks
don't know.
like you did good.
You're talking like if me from the future talks to me now, or me now talks to me from the future.
Yeah, you now talk to the future you.
I don't know what I would say to future me. I know what future me would maybe say to past me, but like,
Well, what does future you past you?
I mean, I'd probably if I was the future self talking to my past self, I'd be like, just keep going at it, keep trying, don't worry about what anyone says, just keep pushing forward and keep going. I don't know what I would say to my future self. Be like, hey man, was it a fun ride? I don't know.
Did you get to this point?
Yeah,
Yes.
did you get to where my plans were gonna be? Yeah.
What are your plans for this year that you hope to get?
I am hoping to like start on some new music and do some new recording this year. It's kind of my plan. Like
Mhm.
maybe thinking like try to have another song out by the end of the year, but we'll see. That's a bit of an ambition. Right now, I'm hoping just put together some more gigs and stuff and get some more shows lined up for the rest
Yeah,
of the year.
that's
Um,
good.
and Color by Numbers, my other band, also has an EP that we've been working on for a very long time now, but it's supposed to be coming out this year. But
Supposedly,
things are very slow moving with that band sometimes, so that might take up some of my time too if that EP ends up actually coming out at some point this year.
you hope to tour at some point.
Yeah, I do. I think it's just one of those things where I feel like I want to be able to establish myself here in Winnipeg first and make sure that there's, if I go and do this in another city, that people will actually care about what I'm doing and I'm not just going to go there and play to no one.
Yeah,
So I think it's maybe like next summer or something, do a small Western Canadian tour or something like that. We've done it before in Call by Numbers, and it's like it's fun when the gigs work out well, but sometimes you're playing empty bars, and I'm sure it's going to happen no matter what. But like yeah.
oh yeah, you're just starting out, or you're just in a band that's starting out. Then yeah, you gotta make a name for yourself, but also try to advocate towards that with like different social media platforms. I think a lot of people are starting to get with that now.
Well, I
Starting
think
to
it's
work.
it's a lot easier now to kind of become known in other cities before you go there.
Yeah.
Like, like 20, 30 years ago, it's like unless another city's radio station is playing your music, no one's going to know who you are, right?
Mm.
Or if you get on a festival, maybe they will, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think it works now with festivals. I think more or less now than compared to those years?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more festivals now, I guess, than there was like in the '90s and stuff. Like there's every small town has its own festival. It seems.
I feel like that's the new way I think a lot more bands should actually reach out. Or if you want to tour across Canada, reach out to festivals or even the
Well,
small festivals.
yeah, that would kind of be my plan, is to try to like line up 2 or 3 festival dates and then just hit
Mhm.
a few other stops in between or whatever to kind of fill up the rest of the week or 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's perfect. Honestly, that's you go out to new crowds, check out some music, check out some amazing artists, and then you have like a couple off days here and there. Do a couple bar shows. You're
Yep.
solid. You're
Make some money.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're living life.
As long as the tour costs all breaks even. But yeah, who cares?
Yeah, if the tour kind of makes it, breaks it, or maybe if you get even, then we're fine.
Breaking even would be the goal, at least at bare minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, bare minimum. It's tour. It's tour life, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you feel like you made an impact on someone, Jared?
I think so, yeah. I feel like, especially like after the release show, like I had a lot of people come and talk to me and tell me how impressed they were with it and how like it just was like incredible. It wasn't just like the whole like, oh, good set, man. It was like people were actually kind of blown away by with the performance we put on and whatnot. So I think it's like making an impact on people.
That's
I
good.
would hope so. I'd hope so. Otherwise, why am I really doing this?
Well, yeah, like you've been doing music for how many years, and
Oh
you're
God, I
just
don't
like,
know. Too long.
yeah, too
Not too
long.
long. Not too long. Not too long. But a long time.
Since high school at least. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I would think so. If you've been doing this for like 10 plus years, yeah, I feel like you've impacted someone. If you're doing shows, going to bars, meeting some new local music, yeah, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see how the next year pans out. But past me realizes from future me or whatever.
No. Oh no.
It'll be greatness. Only greatness.
Only greatness after that. I love it. Describe yourself with one word. Which would it be?
Motivated, I
I'm
think.
motivated.
Just because I always like push forward to do things and try to get stuff done, and like anytime that someone says like, "Oh, that might be too hard," that might be like a huge task or a big thing to do, I'm like, "No, I'm just gonna go do it anyways." Like, like putting out music is like recording a record. It's not an easy task, and it's like I'm just like I'm gonna do it because I'd rather regret doing it than not doing it. I'd rather regret like losing a ton of money making a record that I really like compared to like having never made this record.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in that way I want to do music as a living and I'm just motivated to do it, so I'm just going to keep trying.
Yeah,
I'm never going to stop making music. Like it's one of those things like if I can make a living out of this, I don't think I'd ever retire. Like why would I? Like why would I ever stop doing this?
yeah. You're making a dream. You want to pursue that dream, and you're going full force into it. Why would you want to stop, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. There's no point. You're living life. You're having fun. Do it.
Retirement savings, what's that? Psh, who cares?
Who needs that?
Make a record, whatever.
Make a record, go tour, go meet musicians, play shows. Who needs to retire?
Exactly.
Yeah. What song do you feel like is underrated on your record?
Underrated on the record.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta look at it quickly. What do we got here? I would say one that's kind of underrated maybe is there's a song called Sheep in Wolf's Clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one that we've done it live once, and it's a hard one to translate live because it's got a lot of like electronic drums and synths and stuff, and just sort of like a strange song. I really like it, and I think it's like a really interesting example of the kind of weird stuff I've came up with during the pandemic. And so I think it's kind of underrated in that way, and maybe it's just my own fault for not pushing it as much as I pushed other songs. But I think it's sort of an underrated song on the record, and it's one that like it's one of those songs that like nobody's really mentioned to me. Like every other song, somebody's been like, oh, "I like this song because of this or this song because of that," and no one's really come back with that one. And I'm like, it's a good song. It really is.
That is why you do a one take thing for YouTube. There you go.
Exactly.
And then it's no longer underrated.
Yeah.
Maybe. Have you done a lot of like YouTube or YouTube Shorts or TikTok kind of stuff, Jared, that much or no?
I haven't like I've done like some like acoustic stuff on YouTube or whatever in terms
Mhm.
of like doing a song in one take or whatever. But nothing that I've ever been like, oh, I'm really proud of this version of it. It's more like, hey, I'm just gonna like here's some songs I kind of like. I'm gonna play it acoustically and like maybe it'll, it's more trying to do it to try to like get some like new followers or whatever, and it never really works that way. But but yeah, I am thinking of sort of like in the next few months, kind of shifting some of my focus back towards YouTube because I kind of like stopped doing YouTube stuff for the last little while because I was just too focused with the record. But I kind of want to get back to making some YouTube videos and maybe doing some of those like one take kind of things that are a bit more involved than just like me and an acoustic guitar and one camera.
Yeah. No, like I feel like I've been telling a lot of artists get into like TikTok, the short form content, because that's
Yeah,
really getting pushed right now more so than YouTube videos. Because
yeah, for sure.
you gotta start doing that. That's where most of the music scene is going towards now.
I
And
did have one TikTok video that went like absurdly viral, and like
ooh,
it's still going. Like every day, I get notifications like you've got X amount of views on this video. Let me just pull up and see what it's at right now. Um, it is at 287,000 views.
ooh. Now we
Like,
just need the TikTok creator fund, and then you get paid.
yeah, right? But it's such a dumb video, like, it was, like, a Tuesday night or something, and I was,
Mhm,
like, trying to practice, and I couldn't figure out why my amp wasn't making noise. I'm, like, trying the pedals, I'm trying the guitar, I'm trying to plug it back in, trying the volume.
mhm.
I eventually realized it was just on standby the whole time. And so and so I made, like, this video that was like, "If you're ever wondering why your guitar doesn't make noise, it's commonly known that you should turn your amp off standby." It was, like, the stupidest video. I had no intention of it, like, being anything. I just, like, it was a dumb video, and, like, woke up the next day and it had, like, 10,000 views already by the next morning, and, like, tons of comments and likes and stuff, and it's like, okay, and then now, yeah, it just keeps going up, keeps getting
Jared,
more shit.
we found your niche. We
I've
found your
tried to repeat it. No, I've tried. It doesn't work. It's
what
only
do
when
you
it's natural.
mean?
I've tried to do like similar videos where I do like dumb things like that. Like I have a whole bunch of old used picks, and so I kind of scattered them under my desk one day and filmed this video. Like, do you ever wonder where your picks go when you drop them? And showed this pile of picks under my desk, and it got some views, but like not as many. Like it's got to be natural, you know. You can't be trying to go
You
viral.
can
Well,
if you
maybe.
go on the right platform, and that's why you should post that
Well,
stuff
but
on
so I
shorts.
tried that. I actually
What?
tried that. I posted it natively to both TikTok and YouTube. I filmed it twice for each platform into their app directly. I don't know.
Okay, Instagram at this point. That's all I can say.
Maybe that video was just dumb, that's all. Maybe that one wasn't a good one.
Maybe take it back to the drawing board. Third time's
Yeah,
a
yeah, I
charm.
gotta try something else that's a dumb idea.
But no, I feel like that is a niche that I don't see on like social media or anything. Is like dumb things that you see that is like normal things that musicians don't realize. It's just like, oh, you need to actually turn the switch on for an amp,
Yeah, yeah,
or
things that you,
yeah,
like, take for granted as a musician that other people, like, might find somewhat interesting, or other musicians be like, "Oh, yeah, I make that same stupid mistake as well." Like, that's actually a lot of the comments on that one video is like, "Oh, yeah, I always leave my amp on standby and forget to turn it off." Like
yeah, yeah. Even do that for like a live show or something. Like, hey, if you can't hear yourself, make sure you're plugged in or something like that, or
Yeah,
something
exactly,
dumb.
yeah.
Yeah, do something like start doing stuff like that because people will love to see that, Jared. I feel like that's more content stuff for you.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
you
yeah.
pushed out a little bit more, Jared. I feel like
I'm
that.
going to try some more of that. Try some more, yeah. I should, yeah. I mean, the thing is also consistency, right? It's like
Yeah,
posting, like, something daily, which is that gets tedious, but
yeah. No, I don't post daily anymore. Like I used to, and then I'm just like I'm getting burnt out on social media now. It's just
yeah.
like why, why
Like,
do
I
that?
was posting daily, like, leading into the run-up for the record and the release show and stuff. It's just, like, it's so I literally had spreadsheets with, like, different social media platforms to post on, the content, like, little check boxes on whether or not it's posted or scheduled. It's the only way I could keep track of it in my head 'cause it's just, like, so much shit.
It's way too much for me even. Like I don't
Yeah, right?
How'd you do it?
It was daunting, it was daunting. It was like I had no free time. Like, my entire weekends was just, like, making social media posts and scheduling them and, like, making all the videos and stuff. It was yeah.
Yikes. Yikes. Well, at least you did it. That's the main thing, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it worked. I sold out the Handsome Daughter for the release show, so it was all worth it in the end, is my
Worth it.
thought on it. So,
That's the main thing.
I actually had one person at the show come up to me and be like, "Hey, I saw all your stuff on social media, and I started following you, and that's why I came to the show." I'm like, "That's
It
crazy."
worked.
It actually did work, yeah.
Huge. Social media works for one person. We love
Yeah, I
it.
mean, maybe there's more, they just didn't tell me, you know? Maybe it's just that one person that actually told me.
That's good. At least you got an initial person that yeah.
It validates all of that work is what it does,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Exactly. It means it was worth it. It was worth it.
It was worth it. So what do you want the people to know, Jared, about you? Music, everything, shout yourself out. Get yourself
Yeah,
love.
check out the new record, Mystic Humanism. It's out now on streaming platforms. I have CDs too, if anyone wants a CD. Very few, limited copies. Yeah, go check everything out on social media. Everything's just Jared Adams Music on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that crap.
Cool. Will you sign them and ship them or anything like that?
I can sign them. Yeah, I'll sign them.
Sign
Yeah,
them
I'll sign them. I'll ship them. Whatever you want.
wherever you want. Go check out Jared's music and all that. Thanks. Thanks. Thanks so much for coming out, Jared.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.